right now.
Yeah.
You know, we
That's a
give
good
them,
school
you know,
system, though, 4 months off.
a week off or 2 weeks off if it gets very cold in the wintertime, but we heat up the schools for them. And they're very happy. I mean, they never ask to sit at home for 3 or 4 months.
The young girl, now, did I have this wrong? Was she from Afghanistan? The one who spoke
Pakistan.
up? She's from
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Yeah,
Okay.
Malala.
But it's in that same region, and
Yeah.
it's the same. You seeing the same kind of issues when young people or anybody speaks out asking for reforms like this. Are they attacked?
Yeah, but I think it's so important that we don't get Pakistan and Afghanistan mixed up.
Not at all.
Because
Not
we're
at all.
really two different countries
Yeah,
with very different values.
Yeah.
And she lives in an area where it is the home of the Taliban.
Yes.
So, of course, she's in much more danger. And Afghanistan is a whole different.
Well, can I ask a question? Because I heard Joyce kind of allude to the fact that the Taliban may come back. So are the Taliban out of Afghanistan completely? Or?
No.
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 I'm wondering about that.
Although we may disagree on this. So clearly Hasina knows that the Taliban have their areas strong in Afghanistan. I and many people fear that they are laying low until the U.S. leaves to, to come back. However, the point is well made that if you have enough educated people, they don't want them back. They're not bringing any good news. They will. If you can really move enough people along so that they can think for themselves, they will resist that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also, I think we should remember that the circumstances are very different now.
Okay.
Than the time that the Taliban did come to Afghanistan. Yeah, we did have a factional war going on, and we were bombing and killing people every day ourselves. I mean, we really destroyed ourselves very well. So that was, there was a vacuum, and then they walked in telling people that we're bringing you peace. So now the situation is quite different. Yes, we have our problems, but democracy is not something that you bring into in a box and open it up. It's a process. And so we have to go through the same process as United States did and many other countries also. I mean, if we look at Egypt, they will own their democracy and they will make sure that it will last for them because they fought for it. So we need to go through the same processes, which we haven't so far. It's not, I don't want to say that Afghanistan, everything is fine and dandy in Afghanistan. No, I mean, we have our challenges and we're fighting every day, and it's going to take time. So there's been a lot of progress. People have woken up. There are a lot of young people who are working also.
I think also it's important to maybe have a little bit of a history lesson here. That
I think the same thing.
Because clearly the Taliban came in to try to bring some stability to Afghanistan after all the wars, and they were fighting the Russians. They kicked the Russians out. There was a power vacuum. The Taliban, which were actually students, said, we're going to go take over this country and bring some stability, which they did in large respect. We were friends. The West, the Washington, I remember when I was reporting from Washington, I had meetings and press conferences with the Taliban, so they were friends. It wasn't so much the Taliban that was our concern, or even their treatment of women in Afghanistan. It was the fact that they welcomed in Al-Qaeda and provided a safe haven for these outsiders, bin Laden, to come in, and they set up training camps in the country, protected by the Taliban government. I remember that our government negotiated over and over with them, will you get rid of the Al-Qaeda, will you get them out? And they always said no. Mullah Omar said no, he will stand with them, because that's Afghan hospitality. They will protect their guests. And that's the problem. Now, we have gotten Al-Qaeda out of there. They're gone. All right, as far as that. The Taliban may not be all gone, but that really wasn't our issue. The issue was the people who attacked us on September 11th having a safe haven in the country.
There's Al-Qaeda.
That's
right. We should really pay attention to what also happens to Afghanistan. I mean, yes, bin Laden may be dead, but the unfortunate thing was that what was happening under the Taliban in Afghanistan was quite shocking for me, in the 21st century, for girls to not be able to go to school, for women not be able to work or move around. Your shoes make noise and your feet shouldn't show, and it's just they just made it so difficult for people to live, and it wasn't only women, men were suffering just as much. Because you had to have, your beard had to be 6 inches long, or they would shoot you on the street, which they did in many cases. So
And the
this
amputations
is
you
not,
told them
and
that
the
they would do
amputation
every
Friday in the stadium.
Every Friday?
Every Friday.
If
the
you were caught
amputation,
stealing
if
some,
you were stealing
remember, these are
something.
times people were hungry, so
Yeah.
they would
Chopped
take
up
a
your
piece of
hands or
bread.
feet
There,
or-
so that's the kind of terror they brought, you know.
And nobody paid attention, and that wasn't really important because, so what, that was, it was our problem until the September 11 happened and the towers were attacked, and then
Yeah.
suddenly the attention went into Afghanistan. So I don't think that there's been a lot of talk of we need to leave and nothing happened, and but no, I mean, quitters are not winners.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that what U.S. went into Afghanistan, or international community went into Afghanistan, we need to redefine that maybe again and reflect and look back and see why are we really there, or what is it that the Afghan people need.
What is it that
I
they
think
need?
we
Yeah.
need to operate based on what is the need and not what we think is good for them.
Right, right. Now your school is a little different. You said that you have an accelerated program between first grade and sixth grade, and then your teachers, how are they trained, and how do you get your support? Is it coming from the United States, from China? Where's your support coming from for your school? How do you maintain it, and how can we be of more support to you?
Our teachers are getting paid. We have our donors, and our teachers are the same teachers as they're teaching in the government school.
Okay.
They teach half a day there and then half day
Okay.
with us. But donor money is not a permanent solution for us. Yeah, and so until Afghanistan stands up on its own feet, we will need support from our international friends, individuals, and can't really always rely on governments.
Okay.
But I think it's also important that people get involved, because that's the only way you can really learn about a country. Because if you give $1 a day to support a student to become educated, then you can be in touch with that student. Okay. We can send you pictures, we can send you a little story of the student. You can be in contact with them online through internet and find out what's going to happen, how your money will really impact the life of this one person.
Right, so basically the reason she's here is to really try to spread the word amongst Americans that, okay, if your troops are leaving and you want to protect your investment, here's how.
Okay.
And so one way is through Aid Afghanistan. She has a program called, for $1 a day, you can put one person through school for a year. So basically $365 will pay to underwrite one student, a girl or a boy, whatever your choice, and you will know it's a real person. You can talk to the real person. You'll know who it is that's going through school. And the other thing that she does, and we had a lot of fun last night, she has an organization called Boomi, a business, and they sell the handicrafts made in Afghanistan.
Which I brought home last night.
So we have peace dolls, and the World Affairs Council will be offering for sale some of these peace dolls.
It's called
Beautiful.
Crafting Peace with Boomi.
Crafting Peace with Boomi, and they're beautiful embroidery, wonderful, and then there are table runners and pillows so we're going to be doing that. Exactly.
Yeah, the birds in the cushions in the shape of birds.
Yeah.
And we now also produce hand-loom cotton and Boomi within the factory. So it's Boomi means indigenous. So we're trying to make sure that everything is produced inside Afghanistan. And the main idea was to create jobs. Because we can educate people, but it's most important to create jobs, because they can be educated and without a job, then it creates a different problem.
Sure.
So we're hoping to create hundreds of jobs. The factory space is big enough to at least have 150 more. We have 42 people working right now, and we're hoping to hire more and more people as we have more and more business. So the main goal is to have a market here in the U.S. and also around the world.
Okay.
And I think maybe your viewers also that need a little bit of a background. she actually grew up in Afghanistan until 19.
Okay.
Came to the U.S. because they left with the Russian invasion.
Oh, okay.
But she had in her heart that she needed to go back.